It is worth revisiting that point because externally people look into Ireland and think, it's fantastic, things have turned around, everything is great now as well, but there are still some issues despite the fact we've come a long way.
Yeah, Steve, if you go back to that last polling day 5 years ago, the transformation in the economy has been spectacular. We've taken unemployment from about 14.5% to under 9%. We've taken over 20 percentage points off our national debt. We've almost eliminated the deficit. And now most of the economy can feel a recovery. So we're very much going in a strong direction. We're very much getting balance back in the economy, and we're in a good place.
Most of the economy is feeling better. Most people are feeling better, you said, but there is a sizable minority who aren't as well. Without going into the politics and individual parties of it, why is it then that so many companies and on a national level the country's doing really well on the GDP front, but some people are being left behind?
I think it's very much about the stages of recovery, Steve. The first thing you had to do was fix your public finances, and we've been very successful in achieving that. The second thing was putting people back to work. So that was the real economy feeling the recovery. And when you have 140,000 extra people back in employment, that's a lot more paychecks coming into Irish households up and down the country. The real challenge is probably for those who dependent on social welfare, those dependent on public services. We've still had tough fiscal times, but it's all about getting those stages of recovery. Now we will have more resources available to the next government over the coming 5 years. The deficit is practically eliminated, as I said, and now there will be choices. There'll be choices to reform tax, improve public services, invest in infrastructure and improve our education system.
Is there a concern at some stage that this bonanza has seen 14% 10-year bonds go down, or 14% 10-year paper go down to now under 1%, even though it's come up a little bit from its lows, that we're living on borrowed time and that we can't have these kind of yields forever, and that actually sooner or later it's going to pick up again?
That's one of the very important factors, Steve. It's probably been a temporary external phenomenon. The other issues have been things like exchange rates. We've had a really weak euro, but we've already seen over the last 3 months how we've changed against sterling, jumping from about an 80 mark to almost an 80 mark, 70 to almost an 80 mark against sterling. So some of those temporary factors we absolutely could be challenges for us, but the core fundamentals are still incredibly strong. If you look at the competitiveness we've brought back into our export sector, we actually still haven't seen a meaningful pickup in construction activity. So back to that metric of construction where we're building 90,000 houses down to 9, we're still only doing 14 or 15, but this economy needs 30 to 40,000 housing units a year. So there still is more normalisation to come in the economy, even when some of those temporary external factors inevitably will dissipate.